Hello students, how are you all? I hope you people are taking good care of yourself. Before vacations, we have finished chapter number 1, that is electric charges and fields. Now before we begin a new chapter, we should revise the previous one. Frictional electricity, it is also known as static electricity. It is the electricity produced by rubbing two bodies against each other due to transfer of electrons from one body to another. In first picture, a glass rod is there which is rubbed with silk cloth. After rubbing, we observe that glass rod acquires positive charge and silk cloth acquires negative charge. Actually, in glass rod, electrons are loosely bound. So in this case, transfer of electrons takes place from glass rod to silk cloth. Therefore, because of deficiency of electrons, glass rod becomes positive, and because of excess number of electrons, silk cloth becomes negative. In second picture, an ebonite rod is there which is rubbed with flannel. Here ebonite rod acquires negative charge and flannel acquires positive charge. It means transfer of electrons in this case is from flannel to ebonite. So because of deficiency of electrons, flannel becomes positive, and because of excess number of electrons, ebonite becomes negative. Now it is very important to note that the electrification of the body is only due to transfer of electrons from one body to another. Electrons are the only reason, transfer of electrons are the only reason that the body is electrified, that the body is acquiring some charge. And if the electrons are transferred from a body, or if a body is losing electrons, then there will be deficiency of electrons in that body and the body will become positive. And if a body is gaining electrons, then there will be excess number of electrons and the body will become negative. Properties of charge. First property, there are two types of charges, namely positive and negative. If a body is losing electrons, it will become positive, and if a body is gaining electrons, it will become negative. Second property, like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. Third property, charge is a scalar quantity because it has no direction. Fourth property, charge is additive in nature. We can add charges. To calculate the net charge of a body, we can add them. So that's why charge is additive in nature. Fifth point, charge is quantized. Charge on a body is always an integral multiple of a basic unit of charge. That's why we write Q is equals to plus minus Ne. Here Q is charge on that body, N is any integer, E is basic unit of charge. We know its value. It is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb, which is the charge on an electron. And here both the signs are used, plus minus, because we know that a body, it could be positive and it could be negative as well. Sixth property, charge is conserved. Charge can neither be created nor it can be destroyed. Or we can say that the algebraic sum of positive and negative charges in an isolated system always remains constant. The net charge is always zero. Like we have seen the example of a glass rod and silk cloth. Suppose if a glass rod is losing 5 electrons, then the silk cloth will acquire all those 5 electrons. So the net charge will become zero. So this is conservation of charge. Next topic is methods of charging. There are 3 methods of charging. First method is charging by friction. Here in this picture, we can clearly see that a cloth is there which is uncharged and a plastic rod is there which is also uncharged. So initially both are uncharged. But when we are rubbing them against each other, it means there is friction between these two bodies. So because of this friction between these two bodies, what we will observe that the charged cloth will acquire negative charge and the plastic rod will acquire positive charge. It means the charge is developed in these two bodies because of the friction between them. That's why this method is known as charging by friction. Second method is charging by conduction. In first picture, a neutral body is there. In second picture, a negatively charged body is brought in contact with that neutral body. Simply it is placed in contact with that body. Since it is negatively charged, what will happen? Few electrons will jump from negatively charged body into this neutral body. In third picture, we have removed this negatively charged body. Now what we will observe, the body which was neutral initially, now it has acquired some charge. It has acquired negative charge. So this method of charging a body is known as what? Conduction, where you place a charged body in contact with that uncharged body. Third method is charging by induction. In first picture, we can see a neutral sphere. Why it is neutral? Because the number of positive charges is equal to number of negative charges. We can easily count. 5 positive charges are there and 5 negative charges are there. So the net charge is 0. So the body is neutral. In second picture, to charge this body, what we have done, a negatively charged body is placed at some distance from this neutral body. There is some gap between them. They are not in contact with each other. Now what will happen, as it is negatively charged, positive charge will get attracted towards it. So this side of this neutral sphere will become positive and this side will becomes what? Negative. This side will be positive and this side will be negative, because these positive charges will be attracted towards this negatively charged body. So there will be redistribution of electrons. Now in third picture, as this side is negative, what we are doing, we are connecting this side with the earth with the help of, suppose, a metallic wire we have connected. So what will happen, the negative charges over here will go into the ground. All the unpaired electrons will go into the ground. Meanwhile, we are keeping this negatively charged body as it is. We are not changing its position. Okay, so all the unpaired electrons are into the ground. In fourth picture, what we have done, we have removed that negatively charged body. Now what we observe, that if we count the number of positive charges, now the number of positive charges are 5, but number of negative charges are only 2. It means what? The net charge on this sphere will be positive, because number of positive charges is more than the number of negative charges. So in this way, a charge is acquired by a body. By which method? By induction, where you don't put that charged body in contact with that body which we want to charge. There is some gap between them. So this method is known as what? Charging by induction. Next topic is Coulomb's law. Here in this picture, we can see two charges, Q1 and Q2, and they are separated by r distance. Coulomb's law states that the force of attraction or repulsion between these two charges is directly proportional to their magnitude and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. And if we remove this proportionality sign, we will have a constant which is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, where epsilon naught is absolute permittivity of free space. And if we want to write the value of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, it will be this, that is 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton meter square Coulomb inverse 2. Coulomb's law, it is an inverse square law. Suppose if you triples the value of r, force will decrease by 1 upon 9. See, the force between two charges, it could be attractive, it could be repulsive. It totally depends upon the nature of these two charges. If they are like charges, they will have force of repulsion between them. And if they are unlike charges, they will have force of attraction between them. Coulomb's law in superposition form. Electric forces, they follow the law of superposition. Superposition principle states that if more than one charge is causing a force on object 1 on one charge, then the net force acting on that charge is the vector sum of all the individual forces acting on it. Suppose this charge Q, it is surrounded by these three charges Q1, Q2 and Q3. Suppose this Q1 is exerting force F1 on Q, Q2 is exerting force F2 on Q, and Q3 is exerting F3 force on Q. And we want to calculate the net force acting on Q due to all these three charges. In that case, we will use what? Superposition principle. And so the net force on this charge Q, that is F, will be the vector sum of all these three forces. So according to superposition principle, we can say that F is equals to F1 plus F2 plus F3. It will be the vector sum of all these three forces. Dielectric constant. Dielectric constant, it is also known as relative permittivity. So dielectric constant of any medium, it is the ratio of the permittivity of the medium to the permittivity of the free space. So we can write epsilon upon epsilon naught is equals to epsilon r. Epsilon r is relative permittivity of the medium. It is also known as dielectric constant. Epsilon is permittivity of the medium. Epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. So the ratio of these two will gives us what? Dielectric constant. And the characteristic of any dielectric material is determined by its dielectric constant, and it is unitless. It has no unit. Next topic is continuous charge distribution. We always talk about point charge. But if suppose charge is distributed over a particular area or in space, if charge is distributed, then we talk about charge distribution. There are three types of charge distribution. The first one is line charge distribution. So when the distribution of charge is uniformly along the line, then we call it what? Linear charge distribution. As we can clearly see, a line is there whose length is L and the charge is distributed like this. Then this type of distribution we call it line charge distribution, and we always represent it with the help of a density. We call it what? Linear charge density, and it is represented by lambda. So what is lambda? Charge per unit length. That's why we write lambda is equals to Q upon L, where Q is charge distributed over this line, where L is length of this line. And from this we can easily write the unit of lambda. It will be coulomb per meter. But suppose if the charge is not distributed uniformly, if there is non-uniform distribution of charge, in that case we take a small part of this line. And if suppose dq is the charge present on this part, and if dl is the length of this part, in that case, how we will write lambda? Lambda will be dq upon dl. Second category is surface charge distribution. When the charge distribution is over a particular area, then the distribution is called as what? Surface charge density. Here we can see that an area is there and the charge is distributed like this. So it is known as what? Surface charge density. And to represent it, we use surface charge density. We represent it by sigma. And what is sigma? Charge per unit area. Q is the charge distributed over this area and A is the area of this. And from here we can easily write the SI unit of sigma. It will be coulomb per meter square. And if suppose if the distribution of charge is not uniform, in that case we will take the small part. And if dq is the charge present on that small part, and if dA is the area of that small part, then sigma will be dq upon dA. Next category is volume charge distribution. If the charge is distributed over a particular volume, then the distribution is called as what? Volume charge distribution. We represent it with the help of volume charge density, that is rho, and rho is equals to Q upon V. That is charge per unit volume. So Q is the charge distributed over this volume, V is the volume of it. So Q upon V is what? Rho. And what is rho? Volume charge density. And the SI unit of volume charge density will be coulomb per meter cube. And again for non-uniform charge distribution, rho will be dq upon dv. Next topic is electric field. Here a charge body is there. Suppose we call it what? A source charge. Okay. Now a small test charge we have placed over here, a positive small test charge. If we place at this particular position, this test charge will experience force of repulsion and it will move in this direction. And if suppose a small negative test charge is placed over here, it will experience force of attraction and it will move in this direction. What we can say that, what is electric field? A region of space where a charged object experience a force due to its charge. What we can say that these two charges are experiencing some force because they are placed in the vicinity of this charge, in the electric field of this charge. So the space around the charge where its electric effect can be experienced by other charge is known as what? Electric field. Okay, electric field lines. Electric field lines, first of all, they are imaginary lines, and they are the path along which a unit positive charge can move easily if allowed to do so. A unit positive charge can move freely. The path along which a unit positive charge can move freely is known as what? Field lines. Suppose a negative charge is there, and somewhere here if I will place a small positive test charge, so it will move in this direction towards it. And if I will place that positive charge, suppose at this particular position, it will move in this direction. If I will place it here, it will move in this direction towards it. So these directions, these represents what? Electric field lines. So these are the electric field lines for a negative charge. Suppose if I talk about the second picture, here a positive charge is there. Now suppose a test charge, a positive test charge is placed over here. It will experience force of repulsion and it will move in this direction, away from it. If I will place that positive test charge here, it will move in this direction. If I will place it here, it will move in this direction. It means what? Everywhere, wherever I place that small positive test charge, it will move away radially outward from this positive charge. So these represents what? Electric field lines for this positive charge. So these are the electric field lines for negative charge. These are the electric field lines for the positive charge. Electric field intensity due to a point charge. A point charge is there, that is Q. At any point P which is at r distance from this charge, we want to calculate what electric field intensity. Suppose at this point P, if we place a test charge Q0, then the force experienced by this charge, by this test charge, is known as what? Electric field intensity. That's why we write E is equals to F upon Q0. And if we will substitute the value of F according to Coulomb's law, we will have this formula for electric field intensity, Q upon 4 pi epsilon r square, and r cap denotes what? The direction of the electric field. So electric field intensity due to point charge is very easy to calculate. It is the force acting per unit charge. And from here we can easily write its unit as well. It will be Newton per Coulomb. Now electric field line patterns. Electric field lines, we have already understood that they are imaginary lines and they are the path along which a unit positive charge can move freely if allowed to do so. For a positive charge, electric field lines are radially outward. Like suppose if a positive test charge would be repelled away from the positive source charge. If somewhere here, if you will place a positive test charge, it will be repelled by this source charge and it will move in this direction. So for a positive charge, you will have electric field lines radially outward, and for a negative charge, electric field lines will be radially inward. Electric field line patterns for an electric dipole. What is an electric dipole? It consists of two equal and opposite point charges. Like here you can see one positive charge is there, one negative charge is there. So this type of pattern we will have for two opposite charges. Electric field lines, they start from a positive charge and they terminate at this negative charge. Okay. Now according to this pattern, we can clearly see and we can clearly say that why unlike charges they attract each other. The number of field lines leaving the positive charge equals the number of lines terminating on the negative charge. Now suppose if two charges are there, they are equal but they are not unlike. This time they are like charges. So if like charges are there, what type of electric field line patterns we will have? The pattern will be like this. These electric field lines will exert pressure on each other. You can clearly see in this picture. And now we can also give an answer to this question that why like charges repel each other. We can say that the electric field lines for these two charges, they exert pressure on each other. That's why like charges, they repel each other. Now if I talk about this point C, it is a neutral point. Electric field is 0 over here. That is why C point is a neutral point. Point A, if I talk about point A, here we can say that the strength of electric field is more because electric field lines are more. At point B, the strength of electric field decreases because the number of electric field lines decreases. Next we have electric lines of force properties. First property, they always starts from positive charge and they terminates on a negative charge. Second property, they always leave or enter a conducting surface at right angle to it. It means they are always perpendicular to a conductor, to the surface of the conductor. They never cross or touch each other. It means they never intersect each other, as you can clearly see in this picture. Suppose if they intersect each other, and at the point of intersection, if you will draw the tangent will gives you the direction of the electric field. Then there will be two direction of the electric field, and that is not possible. There can't be two direction of the electric field at a single point. So that's why we say that they never cross, they never intersect each other. Fourth property is the lines of force which have the same direction repel each other, and which have opposite direction, they attract each other. And the last property, we can say that the tangent drawn at any point gives the direction of the electric field at that point. This is the electric field line at this point, like P. At point P, if you will draw the tangent, this tangent will gives you what? The direction of the electric field. So these were the properties of electric lines of forces. The remaining portion we will revise in our next video. Till then, take good care of yourself.